Listen and focus. Legend story from Indonesia. The legend of the origin of mosquitoes. Once upon a time, in a village, there was a simple farmer with his very beautiful wife. They both live in simple houses, and their lives depend on farming. The farmer always works hard every day in the fields. But his wife only works to preen, and she doesn't even care about her household. In a very simple life. Apparently, the wife is not satisfied with their life situation. She felt that her husband should earn big money so that she could take care of her beauty. Because the farmer loved his wife very much, he worked even harder to meet her demands. However, no matter how hard he works, the farmer still cannot meet his wife's needs, because besides his wife likes to ask him to buy beauty medicines that are expensive, the wife also likes to ask him to buy her nice clothes that are also expensive. The farmer's wife eventually fell ill because she was only busy taking care of her appearance and beauty, and did not pay attention to her health. Day after day, his wife's illness only got worse, and in the end, the farmer's wife died. It can be seen that the husband is very sad. All day long he continues to cry over his wife, who is now lying motionless helplessly. Because he loved her so much, the farmer didn't want to bury the body of the wife he loved so much, and he thought and intended to revive it. The next day, the poor farmer sold everything he owned to buy a canoe to be used down the river to a place he believed to be the burial place of the gods.
Surely the gods want to revive my wife.
That's what was in his mind, even though he didn't really know exactly where the gods' burial place was. The farmer kept on paddling his canoe until finally the canoe got stuck due to the thick fog blocking his view. As the mist evaporated, he could see faintly before him a very high mountain, whose peak reached through the clouds. He thought this is where the gods live, and he then climbed the very high mountain with his wife's body. On his way, the farmer met an old man.
You must be the God of heaven's inhabitants,
said the farmer to the old man, and he also explained at length about the purpose of his arrival to that place. The old man replied with a smile, "However, what good would it do to bring your wife back to life?" asked the old man.
She means a lot to me, and she's what I'm passionate about, so please bring my wife back to life,
replied the farmer hopefully. Then the old man nodded his head and said, "Okay, if that's your wish, I'll comply with your request. As a reward for your hard work so far, I will give you a secret how to revive your wife. Now you prick your fingertip. Then you drop 3 drops of your blood into her mouth, and surely your wife will come back to life. And if your wife messes up, you remind her that she lives from 3 drops of your blood." And the farmer immediately carried out the message from the old man. And miraculously, his wife really alive again. And without thinking much, the farmer brought his wife home. But the wife knows that apart from the canoe that the two of them were on. Now the husband also has nothing else, because he has sold everything. Then how and with what husband can meet to care for her beauty? After a long journey down the river, then the farmer and his wife arrived at a very busy port. The farmer got down from his canoe and went to the market to buy provisions for their journey. Incidentally, next to their canoe leaned a very beautiful boat belonging to a rich merchant, who was also stopping at that place. The merchant also saw the beauty of the farmer's wife. The merchant fell in love and persuaded the beautiful woman to come with him. "If you want to come with me, I promise whatever you ask I will give," said the merchant. And the farmer's wife was tempted in the end. She went with the rich merchant. Coming home from the market, the farmer was surprised not to play, because his wife was not in his canoe. He also looked for his wife here and there, but in vain. Long story short, a year has passed. The farmer finally met his wife, but his wife refused to return to him. The farmer then remembered the god on Mount Kyangan.
Really, really, you are ungrateful. Just so you know that you can live again, because you drink 3 drops of my blood.
His wife laughed mockingly. "So, I have to return 3 drops of your blood. Okay." The wife stabbed one of her fingertips, with the intention of giving 3 drops of her blood to her husband. However, as soon as the 3rd drop of blood dripped from her finger, her face suddenly turned pale, and her body became limp, and finally fell helplessly dead. After the wife died, she also transformed into a mosquito. So since then, every night the incarnation of this beautiful woman tries to suck human blood, with the hope that she can return to her original form. Second story. The story of Kibar Iwat and Peti Gajah Mada, Indonesia. Once upon a time, in a village in Bali, there lived a husband and wife who were harmonious and wealthy. But their happiness is not perfect, because after a long marriage, they have not been blessed with children. Therefore, they go to the temple to pray and ask the Almighty to be blessed with a child. They pray every day without stopping. After a long time passed, the wife began to conceive. The husband and wife also feel happy and do not forget to give thanks to the Almighty. Finally, after 9 months of pregnancy, a baby boy was born. Time flies. The wife began to conceive. How happy they are. Several months later, a baby boy was born. It turns out that the born is not an ordinary baby. When he was still a baby, he was able to eat adult food. Every day the child ate more and more. The child grew into a tall adult. Because of that, he was called by the name Kibo Iwa, which means buffalo uncle. Kibo Iwa ate and ate greedily. Gradually, the wealth of his parents was exhausted. To satisfy his appetite, they were no longer able to feed their children. With a heavy heart, they asked the village for help. Since then, All of Kibo Iwa's food needs have been borne by the village. The villagers then built a very large house for Kibo Iwa. They also cooked a lot of food for him. But after a long time, the people felt unable to provide food. Then they asked Kibo Iwa to cook it himself. They only provide the raw materials. Kibo Iwa is all big. The range of his legs are very wide, so he can travel quickly. If he wanted to drink, Kibo Iwa just stuck his forefinger into the ground, so that there is a small well that emits water. Because of his prowess, Kibo Iwa was able to withstand the invasion of the Majapahit troops who were about to conquer Bali. Mahapati Majapahit, Gajah Mada also arranged a strategy. He invited Kibo Iwa to Majapahit. He then asked Kibo Iwa to make several wells. Because the kingdom lacked drinking water, Kibo Iwa agreed without any suspicion. Upon arrival in Majapahit, he dug many wells. It's a tough job because he had to dig deep. When Kibo Iwa was working at the bottom of the well, the Petit ordered his troops to cover Kibo Iwa with lime. Kibo Iwa's shortness of breath. Then he died at the bottom of the well. With the death of Kibo Iwa, Bali was conquered by Majapahit. Ended the history of great people who contributed to the island of Bali.